So what are functions and why do we need them? Functions are going to allow us to be able to write code in one place and reuse it as many times as we want by just calling the function. We've already seen built-in functions. We'll take a look at that as well. We've seen them already in the training, but we're going to define them even more. Now, when you write your own function, you're going to specify a certain keyword, which is function, and it works just like JavaScript functions. You have your curly braces. You have a return statement that you can actually return values from a function. And then you have a name for the function and a parameter list. Now, the parameter list can be as much as you want, as little as you want, and it also doesn't have to have any parameters at all. So parameters are important because you actually get to pass information into the function and then execute some code, one or more lines of code, as much as you want or as little as you want, and then the execution is actually passed into the function. So if you call the function down below, for example, we'll just pick something here all the way below, like the check array 2. Anywhere else this function is defined, because it doesn't have to be defined here. It could be defined at the top of the page, at the bottom of the page, whatever in this particular area. Usually you want your functions defined before you use them, but you get the idea. It's defined somewhere else, maybe another file, for example. But when you call it, this is the actual regular part of the page. This is not in the function. It just has a page level scope and it's just a part of the page. When you actually call a function, you actually go to that function and start with the next line in a row. So when we use built-in functions from PHP, for example, we're actually going to a function in the language itself, built into one of the files, a part of the language that actually starts executing code, whether it's C++ code or compiled code or whatever type of code it is. It's executing that function for us. It's a block of logic that is written once, and it allows us to reuse it as many times as we want to. So we could actually call this twice in a row, 3 times in a row, call it somewhere else, doesn't matter. It's going to execute that block as we need it. We'll see how to include these functions in other pages, for example, other web pages, and then we can reference those functions so you can create libraries of functions, and even libraries of functions can be written by someone else and then used by another person, and it really helps out a lot. Normally in regular programming, people share functions and classes and all types of code in libraries, and it really is like a little black box. You don't have to see what's inside the function as long as you know what the parameters are that you need to pass and the types of those parameters. It becomes important when you deal with types, when you want to pass arrays, for example, or objects into your functions. But then you also have a return type, and you have to specify what type is going to be returned and why. So you usually give a definition and some comments about your functions. But that, for the most part, is the overview. We've used a lot of built-in functions, so we're going to talk about those as well.